The fall of 2019 was amazing. I was teaching in Germany and I only taught 2 days a week. And I was, going to a country every other week because they're all close together. And it was a time where I spoke to a lot of people. Like that was the last great year because we were all connected in a way that we were about to be brought apart by devastating virus and what that does to connection with each other. And so that's why I wanted to start having this engagement that happens. You have these two individuals, Ardelia and Oliver, who are engaged. And he presents her with this old letter that has been in his family for generations. And it is a formerly enslaved woman named Tirza who writes her beloved Harrison and kind of just talking about her life, but basically saying like, we're going to be together again. And Ardelia is moved by it, but she's also like, well, did they get together? And he's like, well, how do you think I got here? Then the story starts from 1865, which is the end of the Civil War. And the reason why I started at the end of the Civil War is because I saw Harrison. I saw a Union soldier riding in gallantly through Mississippi because he promised his beloved that he's going to come back for her. So I remember it's always funny how I can have a line can come to me almost like a thunderclap where I could be doing something. I could be sweeping, I could be showering, and the line just comes. And I remember being in the bathroom. I remember I was in the bathroom, and the first line or one of the lines, the biggest lines, like Tirza was gone. And that's really what happened. And so the story follows Harrison coming back to the plantation where he and his beloved labored, and she's not there anymore. And it's following the trajectories that each of their bloodlines, Harrison and Tirza's lines, all the choices they made across the American landscape up until 2019 Harlem, where you have this couple that unbeknownst to them is going to be separated too, but this time because of an epidemic. And as they're trying to find their way back to themselves and each other, they're finding out their lineage and their history and wondering if them being together is a form of cosmic reconciliation. The cultural memory, the memory and pain of that will break them apart. I thought of this concept almost at the height of COVID. I started interviewing scholars in May 2020. I still have the emails. And it was because I thought to myself, I want to write a love story, but I want to write a love story where we win at the end. I already know the beginning. And when I wrote Call Baby, I didn't know the end. I didn't even know probably the second chapter, but I knew for Zeal, like, I want that. I want an epic story, love story, like those that I read from Gabriel Garcia Marquez, but they're Black and it's across American history. And I knew it was going to be a big project. I knew it was going to be involved in the research, but because I was inside and because if anybody knows me, I am a romantic at heart, I was ready. So in this novel, for those who don't know, which I hope you pick up, like it goes everywhere. It goes from Natchez, Mississippi to Shreveport, to Nicodemus, Kansas, to Chicago, to Harlem. And I was like, am I missing anything? But yeah. And I knew I wanted to do third person omniscient because when you have a love story, if you write it from one person's perspective, especially when it comes to love and or betrayal, you're not gonna see things and you're not gonna pick up things because of perhaps your projections, your insecurities, and it could be a very tangled web, that I don't think all my characters had the tools to unpack as I'm trying to tell a story, as I'm trying to keep the narrative momentum going. So I know I want to be third person omniscient because I want to see everything, but I think what guided me throughout this, aside from the research and scholars before me that wrote about particular places, was that like, okay, you have these historical moments in history, but these were real people. And I wanted to emphasize that no matter where they were, in spite of slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, the Great Migration, these were not statistics. These were real people that made decisions, that just chose to bond in spite of, fill in the blank. And that in spite of is where I had to put my creative ingenuity in it in terms of plotting, in terms of twists and all those sorts of things. When I was researching, I knew for a fact I did not want any grotesque rape scenes in it. I said I would rather show the aftermath of what happened than the actual rape of something. Because for me, I don't want to do that. But also, I had to be remind myself these are still Black people, and sometimes it's the spectacle of violence that people get wrapped up in and almost salivate for when it comes to Black people and violence and all. And I just did not want to reanimate that, me personally. But I also was like, things happened. And they were often fast and they were normal. And that's what I wanted to reinforce in the book. These were not exceptional people. The idea of Spencer, who is the heir and the son of a rich planter, the way that he acted towards fears of his possession, his carnivalesque punishment towards her, that was normal. That was not exceptional. And I want people to understand that this is a particular society where slavery was legal at the time. So none of this that I'm talking about is actually exceptional. But I did want to try to toe the line, try to figure out, like, what do I write about then? You know, and that happens in my research where I'm like, okay, I read so much and I'm trying to give honor to people of the past that I have to figure out what to write. And I remember this professor, I forget who it was, but I got him on the phone. I said, I had this issue when it comes to violence. Like, I don't know what to write about, because me as a writer, like, I've heard things, but also what I don't know. I have to remind myself, I wasn't there. And, you know, he said to me, and I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. He said, whatever you could think of that might have happened during slavery, it most likely happened. That was probably the most horrific and striking thing anyone has ever said. Writing those scenes were very empowering to me, not because they happened, but because I'm here. You know, like I tell people all the time, well, someone once said, they were like, you know, being Black is like a miracle. And it is, because when I really think about the fact that somebody somewhere was captured from Africa, put into the belly of a ship where they didn't even have room to go to the bathroom, then have to labor in the fields with that type of heat and that type of demand on their bodies and that type of threat of punishment, to be able to go through all of that and make the decisions that they made. And my life is literally because of that. Yeah, I'm going to write it. It's empowering to me. I'm upset that they went through it, of course, but the fact that people still was able to love and bond, hence why I'm here, that's exactly why I wrote Zeal.